I don't think you should do that during the business hours. And I wouldn't do that in your restaurant either.
You wouldn't find gum under my tables.
Gordon Ramsay is not only perhaps the most famous chef in the world, we can just say it. He's the most famous chef in the world. That's no simple feat, as there are countless other chefs every year that are attempting to make a move towards Ramsay's international throne. He's got multiple shows on television in the United States as well as in his native UK, and he's had restaurants on every continent outside of Antarctica. For those looking to take his spot, maybe this list will give them a shot. As we're looking into every book, documentary, and interview he's given to find the top things you may not have known about Gordon Ramsay, because there has to be a weakness in there, somewhere.
And I'm not scared of you.
What's that supposed to mean? You threatening me?
He loves fast food, especially In-N-Out Burger.
At one point, you threatened to turn us over to the hate crime division of the LAPD.
While it's no longer on the air, one of the shows that really endeared Gordon Ramsay to the American TV audience was a show called Kitchen Nightmares, in which Ramsay would attempt to turn things around for typically filthy and struggling restaurants.
It. Can't do it.
Don't give up on my shit.
Because of that, and his reputation as a purveyor of fine dining around the world, you might be surprised to find that there's really only one thing that Ramsay misses from LA when he travels to either New York or back to his native UK, and that's the fast food joint In-N-Out Burger. During an interview a few years ago, Ramsay said, "I wish that they were set up in London, because if there's one thing I miss flying out of LA, it's an In-N-Out Burger." However, one wonders how often he eats there if he really misses it that much.
Pate, delicious.
Why don't you drive through to that subscribe button and order up that notification bell so you never miss a video from Babbletop. Alright, let's move on. He uses canned meat.
Open up and drain the tuna. The tuna's already cooked, so we just lightly frying them to get the nice crisp outside.
For the most part, there's only a few ways to really quickly get kicked off a Ramsay cooking show.
Am I gonna stop? No, because this is my dream, this is my destiny.
Milka!
I wanna cook!
Get out!
I wanna cook!
And that's by either microwaving or getting caught using frozen and canned meats. But in an interview, Ramsay described a favorite dish to make for his family that includes canned tuna fish. While the caveat here is that it has to be really high quality canned tuna, it's still canned tuna nonetheless. Stuff like this adds approachability to the angry chef.
This is the thanks I get. Too much vinegar. They're black as look at that there.
And seems to balance with that other side of his personality. Although there's probably a clip somewhere out there of him screaming at someone for serving him cat food because they use canned tuna, that's neither here nor there. There's one thing Ramsay won't eat.
It smells like what is that? It's clam juice. Is it canned or fresh?
When it comes to how adventurous he is as a chef, Ramsay has stated that as a chef, I think my job is to discover as much as I can. You know, anything black or under-seasoned I find really hard to eat. So I'll eat anything from a beating open heart live to a jellied eel to beans on toast. I'll eat anything provided it's got seasoning.
I can't believe Booth wants me to eat an unborn baby duck.
Polishing.
Are you crazy?
But that's not quite true. In another interview, Ramsay admitted that there was one thing that he just would not touch: frozen dinners. He explained his rationale.
That's gross.
It's so easy to prepare a quick meal using fresh produce, such as a simple stir-fry, but people still resort to ready meals that all taste exactly the same. If only it were that simple for the rest of us, you glorious Scottish bastard. He's most proud of a show you've never heard of.
There's no time for this, you have to get out of here!
Nova, come on!
Gordon Ramsay is responsible for restaurants that have amassed almost 20 Michelin stars over the years. And at this point, he's been almost as responsible for as many television shows around the world, either as the host or a producer. In the United States alone, he's had shows like Kitchen Nightmares.
I'm just a little bit deluded.
You know what? The recipes are in my head.
Are you stupid?
I am not stupid.
Hell's Kitchen, MasterChef, and MasterChef Junior, and he's been even more prolific in the UK. However, none of those shows are what he's most proud of as a television host, but rather a show that you've most likely never heard of, at least in the US. That honor goes to Sharkbait.
My youngest daughter, she's obsessed with sharks. I mean, just obsessed. The bedroom is just, yeah, sharks everywhere.
Of the show, Ramsay said, "Sharkbait was an amazing documentary where I went off to Taiwan, got on a boat, hijacked it, and, you know, tried to stop finning, shark fins and the decimation of sharks in the population." So Sharkbait was one of the biggest and most prolific programs I've ever done. Considering the fact that sharks are also one of the hardest animals to advocate for because of movies like Jaws or Deep Blue Sea or Sharknado, work like this is really something we actually need more of if we want to have sharks a couple generations from now. worked with the same team at his Flagship restaurant forever.
Talk to me later.
Get out! Mike, get out! Get out of here! Get out of here! Stop it! Get out of here!
If you only watch the highlights or the commercials for his shows, then you'll think of Gordon Ramsay as a chef that has some serious anger control problems.
Come here, you. If I tell you to get out there, I don't give a if you got a thumb up your fat crack. Get out there!
While he's sort of gotten away from that in recent years, it's still what he's best known for in North America and other parts of the world that didn't get to know him first in the UK. So it may surprise people to learn that he's worked with the same people at his Flagship restaurant, the aptly named Restaurant Gordon Ramsay, where he received and retained his first 3 Michelin stars since it opened around 2 decades ago. In fact, the Screaming Chef listed that as what he was most proud of professionally, stating that he'd been working with the same chef and the same maitre d' 18 years later. He uses microwaves in his kitchens.
Who cooked that, Dustin?
That's Chef Mike.
Chef who?
If you've watched any of Ramsay's shows, you'll find this perhaps the most surprising entry here, as microwaving food in his presence is typically a one-way ticket to the chopping block. However, Ramsay did state that he does in fact use a microwave in his restaurants from time to time. But Ramsay being Ramsay, he does it his way. What is the one thing that you're taught never to put in a microwave? Metal, of course. But Ramsay clearly forges his own path, and part of that is apparently ignoring any and all warnings when it comes to safety, and really, it's not that dangerous to do what he does, and is actually quite ingenious. So, what is the one item or group of items that he puts in the microwave?
The salads. You donut.
Herbs. And instead of cooking them over butter, to get them nice and crispy, he actually uses a plate, plastic wrap, and then rub a whole basil leaf and just a touch of olive oil, and then lay it on the tin foil. Press for 45 seconds in the microwave. They come out real crisp. Well, of course they do, because they're being hit with tiny miniature lightning bolts. But, you know, that's the sort of thing that makes Ramsay a better chef than any of us.
No, but they actually grilled the lettuce. Icing each other's buns.
He doesn't watch his own shows.
I mean, visually, it looks like a serial killer's necklace.
Loin. What kind?
Butt.
Wonderful.
During an interview with Playboy from 2011, Ramsay asked the interviewer whether or not he really comes across that angry on television when asked about whether or not he's ever been punched on one of his shows. Apparently, it was a legitimate question, because Ramsay doesn't watch his own shows. While we live in a world where younger celebrities are basically forced to be self-obsessed, there are still some older celebs who don't really like how they look or sound on TV.
I would love to wear this hoodie and my Heelys and sweats every day.
During the interview, Ramsay said of the decision not to watch his own shows, "I didn't want to get self-obsessed and start thinking about putting makeup on and watching the way I walk." Oh, did I really say that? It is what it is. I'd rather watch Deadliest Catch or go out for dinner.
Get the life sign, guys. Holy the guy's a maniac.
Lucky for Ramsay, there are millions of people around the world that do want to watch him on television. And luckily for us, there seems to be hundreds of thousands that want to watch him on YouTube, too. His restaurants have amassed a total of 16 Michelin stars.
Yes! I just can't believe that he didn't get his third Michelin star this year. It'll come next year, but you know.
It may sound like a contradiction, but the highest honor a restaurant anywhere in the world can receive is through a yearly publication created by a tire company. That company is Michelin. You know, as in the Michelin Man? Michelin is a French tire maker that wanted to find a way to encourage people to drive more. So they created a review magazine each year that breaks down restaurants into groups and provides stars for the best restaurants out there.
Michelin star?
Michelin star, and it didn't happen. Simple as that. And
so people will drive further to check out more restaurants and eventually need new tires. Brilliant plan, guys. The record for the most Michelin stars amassed by one executive chef is 28 by Joel Robuchon. But he better get back to work, as Ramsay has amassed 16 Michelin stars himself. His most famous and signature restaurant, Restaurant Gordon Ramsay in Chelsea, London, has held 3 separate Michelin stars since it opened in 2001. It was that restaurant that landed him his first 3 Michelin stars as well. And because of that, he was the first/only chef to ever amass 3 stars. This was back in 2001. Considering that he broke some of the records at 3, it's looking like no one in the home of haggis and more haggis will ever catch Ramsay when it comes to Michelin stars or general fame in the restaurant business.
I mean, that dish, it makes me feel homesick.
Other chefs really fear him.
Has delivered undercooked salmon.
Who the are you to turn around and tell me when you work like a pig?
You French pig! If there's another chef out there that's on the same level internationally in terms of celebrity, it's the Iron Chef himself, Bobby Flay. One could argue that Flay is perhaps considered to be the better chef than Ramsay, so it may be surprising that a guy who has built his name by competing against other chefs every week on shows like Iron Chef or Beat Bobby Flay has refused to actually go up against Ramsay on Iron Chef itself.
Go on, taste your pussy. Did you like that?
Answering a question about which celebrity chef he'd like to go up against on a show like Iron Chef, Ramsay said that he has been trying to lure Flay into a head-to-head battle on Iron Chef for years. Beyond that, he stated that he approached Flay after a celebrity tennis tournament once and said, "Bobby, let's cut the bullshit and get in the ring. You and I for 60 minutes, and if you need a 10-minute head start and an extra sous chef, you can have them, but I'm going to kick your ass."
For the last 5 years, we've been trying to do this cook-off together in Vegas for charity, and he won't sign the contracts.
Flay reportedly said yes, but then changed his mind and had his agent phone Ramsay to say that he simply didn't have the time 24 hours later. You smell that? Ah yes, chicken.
Now, Bobby, sign the contract, you limp.
He's a black belt in karate.
So, are you gonna let me continue eat, or do you want to fight?
For a guy that seems to run his mouth as often as Ramsay does, you just know that there are drunks everywhere who are looking to knock him down a peg or two. Luckily for him, he's a big guy at 6'2", but beyond that, he also knows how to handle himself in a fight. During an interview, Ramsay discussed whether or not someone has ever taken a swing at him on the show, and let people know exactly how ready for a fight he is. There's a situation years back on an early season of Hell's Kitchen in London. A lady had too much to drink and was showing off and went to punch me.
You have to show off.
How bloody
Don't be stupid. Don't be so stupid.
But no, I have a black belt in karate. I love boxing. I can look out for myself. Do I want to fight? No. Let's finish cooking first. We'll fight after. Do I really come across that angry? I think it's safe to say that yes, Gordon, you do come off that angry.
And the big surprise is the bass is raw!
Don't keep us a secret. Help us spread the word and the love by clicking that subscribe button and notification bell, and you could win an iPhone X. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.